When you change the way you look at things, the things you are looking at begin to transform. Not because the world itself suddenly rearranges, but because your eyes, your heart, your mind are suddenly awake to new possibilities. Think about it. How many times have you walked past a tree, so familiar, so ordinary, that you never truly saw it? But then one day something shifts. A storm breaks, the sun strikes just right. And suddenly that same tree is a fortress of resilience. Its branches a canopy of hope for anyone willing to pause and notice. It's the same with pain, with struggle, with failure. When you look at your wounds as wounds alone, they sting, they hurt, they remind you of loss. But when you change your gaze and see those wounds as chapters, as evidence of battles fought and lessons learned, they begin to tell a story of survival, not defeat. When you change the way you look at fear, it no longer chains you to doubt or silence. It becomes a signal, a challenge, a spark that lights the fire to rise higher, reach farther, become braver. The things you're looking at, your experiences, your history, your own reflection, do not change on their own. The burden on your shoulders might still weigh heavy. The scars may remain visible. The voices of doubt might still echo. But your perception, the way you choose to see, to interpret, to believe, can shift the entire landscape. Look again at the mistakes you made, not as failures etched in stone, but as stepping stones. Each one a lesson dressed in disguise, each one a piece of the mosaic that makes you whole. Look again at your loneliness, not as emptiness of isolation, but as quiet space where your soul can speak, where you can meet yourself without distraction or pretense. Look again at your fears. See them as shadows cast by your own light, proof that you're stepping out of the dark, proof that you are alive and pushing boundaries. Look again. When you change the way you look at pain, it becomes a teacher, not a tormentor. When you change the way you look at loss, it becomes a space for gratitude, a reminder of what was, what is, and what might still be. When you change the way you look at yourself, the mirror stops reflecting what you think you are and starts revealing what you could become. It's not magic. It's not a trick. It's the simple, profound power of choice. The choice to see with eyes wide open, the choice to rewrite your story by shifting your perspective. Because when you change the way you look at things, you start to see beyond the surface. You see the beauty in brokenness, the light in darkness, the strength in vulnerability, the future in the present moment. And when that happens, the things you are looking at change, not because the world changed overnight, but because you did. So today, listen. The next time life feels heavy, the time your heart feels closed and your vision feels clouded, stop. Look at your story through the eyes of compassion. Look at your struggle through the lens of growth. Look at your shadow not as threat, but as a companion walking with you through every darkened light, because your story is not fixed. Your path is not set in stone. Your power lies in the way you look at the journey. And when you change the way you look at things, the things you are looking at, they begin to change. And in that way, in that change, you find a new you, stronger, wiser, freer. You find hope where there was despair. You find purpose where there was pain. You find light where there was shadow. And that, my friend, is the beginning of everything. So change the way you look at things, and the things you look at begin to change. So I've been thinking, and honestly, I need to tell you something. Even if it's a little hard to say, lately everything feels like too much. Not just us, but life in general. You see, when we talk a lot, I start feeling overwhelmed. At first I'm all in, but after a while my mind fills up, and then the words slip right through me. It's not because I'm not listening, actually. I'm trying really hard to, but sometimes my head can't keep up with my heart. That's why I think we should ease up on the calls. Instead, let's text more. That way I can take my time, I can think, I can respond with a clear mind, rather than nodding on the phone while my brain checks out. To be clear, it's not that I don't enjoy hearing your voice. No, I do. However, too much at once feels like I'm carrying more than I can hold. Besides, there is something else I need to be honest about, and this part is not easy to say. Honestly, the more I talk, the closer I feel, and truthfully, I'm scared I might fall for you. But right now, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready to fall for anyone. Not because of you, but because of where I am at with myself. I'm still learning how to carry my own feelings before I can carry someone else's. So for now, I need to go slow. I need to protect my peace and maybe yours too. Even so, this doesn't mean I'm walking away. On the contrary, I value this. I care about you. That's exactly why I want to be honest with you. Moving too fast ruins something that could have been beautiful if we just gave it time. So, I hope we can still stay connected, just not in a way that costs us our calm. Let's keep it simple, let's keep it kind, let's keep it real. Because in the end, honesty is better than pretending, and space, when given with care, can actually bring people closer. So, yeah, I'm still here, just at a different pace, and hopefully that's okay. Every artist has a story. Not just colors on a canvas, but reasons behind every shade they choose. Not just rhythms in a rhyme, but echoes of battles they rarely speak of. Because behind every masterpiece there is a mess no one sees. And behind every performance there is a pain someone had to survive. They may admire the art, but do you also feel the ache? Because each stroke is a scar, and each lyric a layered memory. Even though they smile on stage, many carry silence like a second skin. This is not just creativity, this is survival dressed in stanzas. So when we speak, we are not just performing, we are peeling. Layer by layer, word by word, we let you in. For some, the mic is the only place where the truth doesn't shake. It's the only space where their voice doesn't feel like too much. Therefore, we show up unfiltered and afraid. Even when the world tells us to tone it down, we turn it up. Because our stories matter. As a result, these lines carry more than syllables. They carry soul. Sometimes we write because we could not scream. Other times we speak because it's the only way to breathe. And while not everyone will understand, we still tell it. Because someone out there has felt the same darkness and needs our words like oxygen. In the end, this mic becomes more than just a stage. It becomes a sanctuary. It becomes a first place some of us ever felt hard. So listen, not just with ears, but with your empathy. Because every artist has a story, and finally, this is where it's hard. So when you hear us, don't just clap for the rhyme. Feel the resurrection in every line. Because when you're witnessing, it is not just art, it's survival. And every verse we speak is proof. We made it out and we're still here. Loud and filtered and alive. I wanted to be wrong about you. Turns out that I was right. So this is how it ends. Not with anger, not with blame, but with a quiet ache. I didn't see this coming. Or maybe I did, but I chose to ignore. Maybe I did, but I chose to decide to see and wait. Maybe the red flag will be a bit red, or maybe it will be less red. Because truth be told, I saw it coming. I felt it in the poses, in the way your heart never fully settled. And even though I sensed you might one day go back, I kept wishing I was wrong. Seems I was right all along. Still, I held on. Not because I was naive, but because I believed in what we had. Even if only for a moment you say we had a bond, and yes, we did. It was fragile, but it was real. So when you said you needed space, I already knew what that silence was growing into. I didn't want to admit it then, but now here we are. You've chosen your path. You've chosen your past, and I respect that. Even if it leaves me a little more hollow than before, I appreciate the honesty, truly. Not everyone tells the truth before it's too late, but knowing doesn't make it easier. Closure doesn't always close the wound. Still, I won't chase what's no longer mine. You've made your choice, and so will I. You're walking back to someone you once lost, and I'm learning to walk forward without you. You say we can still talk, but how do I talk when every word reminds me of what we will never ever be? So no, I won't hate you. I won't hold this against you. I'll just carry the lesson and let time carry the pain. While you choose to go back, I'll choose to grow. I'll choose peace. I'll choose healing. And one day I'll choose someone who never had to choose between me and someone else. As much as it hurts, goodbye. Yeah, not in bitterness, but in the quiet acceptance of the fact that you chose them, and now I'll have to choose me. Yeah. I've always been that person. Yeah. The one who drops everything, whether it's mid-meal, mid-prayer, or mid-plan, or mid-anything. I just show up. No question asks, no delays, just simple. Where are you? And I'm ready halfway there. At times I've cancelled dreams for people. Other times I rescheduled peace. Even more often I paused my own healing. Why? Because someone needed me, and somehow that always felt like enough. However, when it was me, when my world was cracking and my hands were shaking from holding it all in, they were busy. They said, "Give me a minute. I'm caught up. I wish I could, but not right now." And even then, I understood. After all, I always understand. That's the part that stings the most. I'm the one they run to when things fall apart. When the lights go off in their lives, they find comfort in mine. Because somehow I always have room. But when I need someone to just listen, to pick up without thinking, to sense that I'm not okay, no one seems to be available. Not immediately, not until it's convenient for them. Honestly, sometimes it hurts. Not because I expect a reward, but because deep down I hoped to be someone's emergency too. Still, I'm learning. I'm learning that just because you show up for people doesn't mean they'll do the same. And while that realization breaks something soft inside me, it also builds something stronger. Because now I know I must learn to show up for myself first. From this point on, I must become my own 911. Even if no one picks up, I won't drop the call on me. I'll hold on to hope that one day things will be different. And that will be enough. Life without you has not been easy. We didn't plan to fall apart. At first it was small, a word, a glance, a moment where we misunderstood each other. Gradually, silence grew. Where love once lived out loud, you thought I didn't care. Meanwhile, I believed I was right. However, the truth was simpler. We both hurt, but neither of us said it out loud. I kept replaying our last conversation, not to point fingers, but to understand my part. And honestly, I saw where I failed. Instead of listening, I let pride speak. Where you needed closeness, I pulled away. It wasn't that I stopped loving you, on the contrary. I just didn't know how to love well in the middle of my own chaos. You see, after you left, I told myself I'd be okay. For a while, I believed it. Still, your memory stayed. Every smile we shared, every laugh we once had, they followed me, like unfinished music in my mind. Because of that, I started changing. not to win you back but to face myself. There were pieces of me that needed healing, not just for us but for me too. Eventually, I realized that I had lost something real, something rare. So when I came back, I didn't come with empty words. Instead, I brought the version of me you always deserved. Even though you had every reason to walk away for good, you left the door slightly opened, just enough for hope to peek in. So now, I'm not asking to erase the past, rather I'm asking to learn from it, to grow from it, to love through it. You gave me another chance and I know how much that cost. For that, I won't take your heart lightly. From this moment on, I'll show up differently, with intention, with effort, with love that stays, especially when things get hard. Yes, I let you down before, but now I know better, and because I know better, I'll do better. No more running, no more games, no more making you feel like you're not enough. In the end, this is the love I want to fight for, not just with words, but with actions, with patience, with truth. So if you're still willing, then this time, I'll do it right. Can you kindly give us a second chance? This time I promise I will do it right. I used to believe that every ending needed a reason. At first, I thought pain had to teach me, that heartbreak was supposed to shape me, and maybe if I changed enough they would come back. Eventually though, I realized not everything happens for a reason. Sometimes things just happen. People drift apart, words get lost, and slowly hearts walk away without maps, without warnings, and without apology. I kept searching for meaning. I searched in memories, in unread messages, in silences louder than goodbyes. For a while, I called it growth, but truthfully, it was grief, wearing hope like a disguise. Meanwhile, people kept saying, turn your pain into power, get successful, make them regret it. At first, those words gave me fuel, but later I began to question, what if healing isn't about proving anything? What if success is not meant to be a message for someone who stopped listening? As time passed, I saw joy return to the lives of those who left. Their smiles, once familiar, now had no space for me. And yes, that hurt. Not because I wanted to go back, but because it reminded me that they had moved on while I was still holding on. Back then, I thought my worth was in being chosen. Now, however, I know it lives in the letting go. Even though it hurts, it's not weakness. It's not weakness to walk away from what no longer holds you. Rather, it's strength to stop knocking on doors that no longer open for you. I no longer need to speak louder to be heard, nor do I need to shine brighter to be seen. Instead, healing came quietly, not through revenge, but through release. It came when I stopped trying to win a war that ended long before I did. From that point on, I rose for me. I grew not to be admired, but to feel whole. Because now I understand there is power in not looking back. Likewise, there is peace in soft endings, and most importantly, there is strength in knowing you can be whole on your own. So no, this is not a love poem, rather, it's a quiet release, a final goodbye to someone who stopped reaching back, to a love that died silently. And in that silence, I didn't find revenge. Instead, I found something better. I found myself. Every student deserves to be seen. He sat in the back, not because he liked it there, but because it hurt less to be ignored than to be noticed and torn apart. They called him slow. Yeah, he was a slow learner. Said he was a waste of chalk, a sentence that couldn't end, a question mark that never made sense. So they punished him for not being what they expected. They punished him for being a whisper in a classroom full of noise. At home, the only lesson he learned was that failure came with bruises, that when numbers danced out of reach, so did his father's love. The belt had better memories than the man. He began to believe that maybe he was broken, maybe his mind was a maze, even God forgot to finish, that the world only clapped for the quick, never the kind who crawl, until one day a stranger walked in, a new teacher, not the kind who tested memory, but the kind who tested hearts. He did not raise his voice, he raised his hope. He did not roll his eyes, he rolled up his sleeves and said, "Let's try again, this time together." A sweet on a desk, a note that said, "I see you," and for the first time the boy believed he was worth seeing. He started reading, not just to pass, but to breathe, started answering, not just to please, but to speak. And the grades, they followed the healing. Because you can't grow in a place that waters fear, but give a seed some grace, and it will split the earth open. He was never slow. He just walked in a different rhythm, and all he needed was someone willing to match his pace. To the teachers who still see the quiet ones, to the mentors who feed souls before scores, you are the reason some of us survived school. You are the reason slow learners had a second chance. So listen, he wasn't slow. He was just unseen. Was just not noticed. I know we had something real, I know. A bond we built slowly but steadily. At first it was simple, but as time went on, I found myself almost falling for you. You were there, you listened, and honestly you made me feel seen. Because of that, walking away has not been easy. However, life has a way of circling back along the way. I reconnected with my ex. Surprisingly, things between us are better now. I'm sorry. And we've talked, we've healed, and now we are trying again. That's the main reason I asked for space. Even though it had to create distance, I knew I had to. Otherwise, I would have been unfair to you and untrue to what I'm rebuilding. At the moment, I'm happier. Not because you are not enough, but because I've chosen to give something I once broke a second chance. And most importantly, I don't want to mess this up again. Yes, we can still talk, but not the way we used to. Going forward, our conversations will be fewer and lighter. That's not rejection. It's simply me respecting my partner and protecting what we are trying to restore. Truthfully, I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't. That's why I'm telling you now, before things went any further. In the past, I made the mistakes of betraying the one I love, and now I want to make it right. So from now on, let's just maintain boundaries, not because I've forgotten you, I haven't, but because I care enough not to lead you on. Even though this may sting, I hope you understand. In time, I believe you will. Still, I wish you the very best in everything. In love, in growth, in peace. You're someone worth knowing, worth remembering. As much as it hurts to let this go, I know it's the right thing I'm supposed to do for both of us. So thank you for being part of my story, even if it's only for a chapter. And now we turn the page. Yeah. Listen. You are not lonely because you are unworthy. You're just real. You're not lonely because the world has forgotten you. You're lonely because you care who is standing beside you. You don't want just noise. You want real presence. You want someone who truly cares when they ask if you're okay. Not someone just passing by, scrolling past your silence. It's not the emptiness that hurts the most. It's being surrounded by people and still feeling invisible. You wait, not because you have no one else, but because you won't settle for anything less than real. You have felt true connection, so now small talks feels like nothing. You're not broken, you're just made for something deeper. You don't want crowds, you want closeness. That's why That's why you'd rather sit alone than be in a room full of people who only see your smile but miss your sadness. Yes, you could pretend you could fill your space with anyone who sticks around, but your heart doesn't work that way. It needs meaning, not convenience. So don't hate your quiet. Don't rush the loneliness. It's showing you that you still believe in real love, in true friendships, in being seen for who you really are. You're not lonely because nobody needs you. You're lonely because you care who's next to you. And that's your strength, not your weakness. You've stayed soft, even when the world gave you reasons to harden. That softness is not foolish. It's rare. And one day someone will thank you for not giving up on love, even when it hurt. So for now, keep breathing. Keep showing up. The right people won't need convincing. They'll see you, hear you, and choose you, not out of habit, but because your soul feels like home.